What my girlfriend did yesterday makes me want to marry her instantly. I got home at 2 a.m. from a 14-hour shift at the warehouse, and I was absolutely dead on my feet. But I had this dumb goal I set for myself, recording a video every single day for my YouTube channel. Doesn't matter that I only have 47 subscribers. I made a promise to myself that I'd do this for a full year without missing a day, and I was on day 283. So I dragged myself to my PC, booted everything up, started recording with my face cam on, and loaded into this RPG I'd been grinding for the past 3 weeks. I was in the middle of this massive boss fight, the kind where if you die, you lose like 2 hours of progress. I remember thinking, just get through this one fight, then you can sleep. I was barely keeping my eyes open, chugging the last of my energy drink, trying to time my dodges perfectly. I don't even remember the moment it happened, but I just passed out mid-combat. Controller still in my hands. Boss probably killed me 30 seconds later. Next morning, I woke up in my bed, and I was so confused because I 100% remembered falling asleep at my desk. I reached for my phone to check the time, but it was completely dead. I never plugged it in, so my alarm never went off, and I was already 40 minutes late for work. I panicked and grabbed my girlfriend's phone to call my boss. That's when I saw it. Google was still open on her phone, and the search history said, how to save game without losing progress. Timestamp 4 a.m. I just stared at it for a second, trying to figure out why she would even... I completely forgot about calling my boss. I just ran to my PC. The recording was still there, sitting in my folder. 6 hours and 23 minutes long. I opened it and started watching. My self-play for about 15 minutes. You can see me getting slower, messing up more, barely reacting. Then my head just drops forward onto the keyboard. Character dies instantly. Boss victory screen. Everything. About 5 minutes later, my girlfriend walks into the room. You can hear her gasp a little, then she starts laughing. Not mean, just like finding it cute. She tries shaking my shoulder, calling my name, but I am completely out cold. So this girl, who's maybe 5'2" on a good day, somehow starts dragging my 6'1" self out of my chair. I'm watching this recording, and I can see her struggling. She's got my arm over her shoulder, trying to lift me. My legs are barely moving. I'm just dead weight. She's muttering, come on, babe, help me out a little bit. But somehow she gets me across the room, halfway carries, halfway drags me to the bed. She tucks the blanket around me, brushes my hair back, kisses my forehead, and I can hear her whisper, you idiot, you need to sleep. Then she goes back to my PC, and the game's still sitting there on the death screen. Boss is just standing there waiting. She sits down in my chair and just stares at the screen for a minute. She clicks around the menu, looking completely lost. You can see her scrolling through all the options, not understanding any of it. Then she pulls out her phone, and I'm watching her type something. She's biting her lip, looking frustrated, going back and forth between her phone and the screen. She finds the load game option, and she realizes there's an auto-save from before the boss fight. Her face lights up. But here's the part that absolutely killed me. She doesn't just load it and save it once. She saves it in every single save slot the game has. 8 different copies, 1 in each slot. Then she goes back and checks each one, making sure they all work. She loads each save file individually, just to verify the progress is actually there. It takes her like 20 minutes. When she's finally satisfied, she closes the game, turns off my monitor, and the recording stops. I just sat there staring at my screen. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear hit my keyboard. When she woke up around 9 a.m., I was still sitting there. I asked her about it, and her face immediately got worried, like, oh no, did I mess it up? She said, I saw you passed out, and I knew you'd been working on that game forever, and I didn't want you to lose everything because of me. So I looked up how to save it. I made a bunch of copies just to be completely sure. She looked at me like she was genuinely scared she'd ruined 3 weeks of my gameplay. Did it work? Is everything okay? I told her everything was perfect, and I asked her why she cared so much about a stupid video game. She just shrugged and said, because you care about it. That's when I knew, 100%, without a single doubt, she's the one. I'm buying a ring this weekend.
What's the most satisfying tables turn moment you've witnessed in court? Court clerk for 8 years. This divorced dad was fighting for custody of his 6-year-old daughter. His ex-wife claimed he was an alcoholic who endangered their kid. She came prepared for war, had photos of beer bottles scattered around his house, testimony from 3 neighbors about loud parties, and even a police report about a disturbance at his address. Her lawyer was this slick guy in a $3,000 suit who'd clearly done his homework. The evidence looked damning. Photos showed empty bottles everywhere. Kitchen counter, coffee table, bathroom sink, even one in the kid's toy box next to her stuffed bunny. The neighbors swore they'd seen him stumbling around drunk at 2 p.m. on weekdays, music blasting at all hours. One elderly neighbor claimed she'd called CPS twice because the little girl looked neglected and scared. Her lawyer painted him as a complete deadbeat, said he missed scheduled visitations because he was too drunk to drive, claimed the daughter came home crying, talking about daddy's angry voice and how the house smelled like yucky medicine. The guy sat there quietly throughout the whole character assassination. No fancy suit, just wrinkled khakis and a polo shirt, clutching a manila folder like his life depended on it. I've seen plenty of custody battles, and this one looked over before it started. The judge was taking detailed notes, nodding along with the ex-wife's testimony. She was crying at all the right moments, playing the devastated mother perfectly. Even I was starting to feel sorry for her. Judge looked ready to rule against him when he finally asked to speak. His voice was shaky, nervous. Your Honor, when exactly did she say I missed those visits? October 15th, 22nd, and 29th, the ex-wife replied confidently, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. He opened his folder with trembling hands. Here's my work schedule from the fire station. I'm a paramedic. I was saving lives those exact dates, 24-hour shifts, 2 car accidents and a heart attack on the 15th, apartment fire on the 22nd, 3-car pileup on the 29th. The paperwork was official, stamped with the fire department's seal. Undeniable proof he was literally saving lives when she claimed he was too drunk to see his daughter. Her lawyer's confident smirk started melting. Then came the kicker. He pulled out his phone. And here's security footage from my apartment building. The video was crystal clear. Timestamp showed 2:47 a.m., 3 days before the hearing. There was his ex-wife, using a spare key to enter his apartment. She had a grocery bag full of beer bottles, the exact same brands from her photos, placing them strategically around the living room, even staging one near a children's book. The courtroom went dead silent. Her lawyer started shoving papers into his briefcase like the building was on fire, but he wasn't done. Second video showed her coaching their daughter in the parking lot after visitation. Remember, tell mommy if daddy's house smells like the yucky stuff. Can you say daddy was sleeping when you needed him? Practice your sad face. The little girl nodding innocently, not understanding she was being weaponized. Judge's face went from sympathetic to furious in seconds. Custody awarded to father, effective immediately. Supervised visitation only for mother pending psychological evaluation. 3 months later, she lost visitation rights entirely when 2 more recordings surfaced. One of her calling his workplace pretending to be a concerned citizen reporting him drunk. Another of her paying the elderly neighbor $200 and a script to memorize. The neighbor felt so guilty after seeing the little girl crying that she confessed everything. The ex-wife got charged with perjury, filing false reports, witness tampering, and harassment. The dad got full custody, back child support, and legal fees covered. Her lawyer dropped her and reported her to the state bar for fraud. Last I heard, that little girl's thriving with her father. She's in soccer now, honor roll at school, and lights up whenever someone mentions her daddy. He brings her to court sometimes for routine paperwork, and she always waves at me from across the lobby. Some victories just hit different when you see justice served to someone who truly deserves it.